Well, Jenny Lee is at her core a natural leader, and she understands both with her education and her experience what needs to be done, and is not afraid to speak the truth about what needs to be done, and has gives no quarter to the status quo. And she understands that if we're going to change and save lives, then we have to change the way we're doing things. And that's why I wanted her to talk this morning about the hub and her experience of Major Gifts Ramp Up and NANOE, and also how it has impacted other nonprofits in her community.
Well, thank you, Lewis. It has been an awesome time working with you all at NANOE. We've learned a lot. And it's so nice to be in this conversation today with individuals that I know have shared frustrations, have shared concerns that have been building up for a while as we look at the struggles that we face with workplace giving and seeing the decline in those areas. Even across the US, last year alone, our contributions under our United Way here nationally decreased by 21%. So this is something that's impacting us all, and it has been for quite some time. And so, as I mentioned earlier, I started working with Lewis and Jimmy about 18 months or so ago in this process. And the reason our philanthropy director brought it to us, I've been with the organization for 5 years. She had been fairly new when she brought this idea and concept of NANOE to our United Way. And she immediately was able to feel the pressure of workplace giving is declining for our community. A lot of our major philanthropists that carry the wealth of all of our community initiatives, nonprofits, our United Way in particular, they are dying out. Their descendants are not staying in Rowan County because we've got Raleigh and Charlotte and places that honestly just pay more and they have more resources there, they have a higher pool of influencers to lean on to, and so it just looks a lot different. So instead of our organization saying, well, we're going to keep doing it the same way we've been doing it all these years because that's how United Way does it, we had to think outside the box. And we had to really, really start thinking about our internal organizational development because we have a really robust community impact funding model. But in order to meet the needs of the community and do that funding model in a highly effective manner, reaching the most folks in our community, we needed to revamp our campaign model and our ways of generating and diversifying our revenue. These are all things I'm sure your executive directors, your board, other staff are already thinking about. So what is the answer to that? For us, I can honestly say I've not felt much answers from United Way Worldwide. I get a lot of local support, but what is the answer? And what we found was going through this process with NANOE, starting from step one that they've just shown in their pyramid, and we're about in the top tier of the final stages of the pyramid currently. So I want to dive deep a little bit, if I may, into what some of these outcomes have been. You all understand the importance of what we're doing, or else you wouldn't be on this call today. And so when we took a look with Lewis, I have my whole team a part of this planning conversations because all of their voices matter as well. We brought them in and we knew firsthand for us, we needed to do two major things. We needed to stabilize our office, just for particular situations that we are a part of right now. And the second thing was we had to generate creative streams of revenue to supplement the losses we were facing in workplace giving. So as we sit down as a team, we're post-COVID, we're able to dream again, we're out of survival mode. So we're able to think about these North Stars that we want to achieve in the next 3 to 5, et cetera, years. And so one of those things is obviously moving us into a permanent location. But then we said, wait a minute. What more could we do with this concept? What are some needs in this community? Well, for our community in particular, we have a lot of smaller nonprofits that do great work, but don't have the resources to have high overhead. In fact, we believe that their dollars should be going out to programmatic support, paying their staff as well, getting them adapted to that philosophy that we shouldn't be broke just because we work in nonprofits. But how do we really, really dive deep and help our local nonprofits beyond the grants that we put out, or the other ways that we can partner to help create those long-term strategies of change in this community? And so this dream then we then developed this concept called the Hub, a center for collaboration. And some United Ways are already doing this work. And it's really neat. Lewis actually helped us connect with other United Ways to see their model and honestly share their ideas with us and see what we could bring here to Rowan County United Way. So that has been really revolutionary for our community. We have a total population of about $142,000, or 142,000 individuals. And so we have a lot of nonprofits that need support beyond money. And what this place is going to be is a center for collaboration, is a safe place for us to not just provide local nonprofits with office space, board meeting rooms, training rooms, access to internet, storage space, etc. They can even hold events, special events and fundraisers at this event. So, I don't know if you all ever have what we called a blackout period during your annual campaigns. We had that here in Rowan County, and we completely got rid of it a few years ago. And it was life-changing for this organization because they felt that we were actually hurting them instead of giving them the hands up and the overall support that they should have been receiving from their local United Way. So that is really great. We currently have about 6 nonprofits that have already reached out to us and said, we're so jazzed up about the work. Yes, thank you. So this is our invitation. We're going to hold 3 small meetings. And we're going to do walkthroughs, and we're going to have concept renderings on easels and posters all throughout the space so people can start to visualize it with us, live it with us, dream it with us. And in fact, one of our events, the lunch event, we have a really nice high-end restaurant here in downtown Salisbury that has so generously said, actually, use our restaurant for one of your walkthroughs. I'll come in, I'll welcome people. I've been on the board. I will gladly share that we are behind this concept. And so this is an opportunity where we're going to bring people together from diverse sectors. And that's naturally what us as United Ways do in our communities. We bring government, philanthropists, healthcare, nonprofits, congregations, education, all the diverse sectors that make our community what we are. It's the heartbeat of what we are. And we bring them together to serve and strategize around how we address some crippling issues in our community. And some of those for us are expensive issues to fix, such as substance use and mental health treatment. These are expensive things. It's a lot more expensive than just going out and feeding the hungry. Not that that is not just as important, but we're looking at other areas of how we support our community. And so what started this process and what opened so many doors for Audrey, myself, our overall United Way family was, number one, that development of the case for support. So friends, If you want to have your board retreat on a Saturday, keep your volunteers there for 8 hours. You're going to have your big Post-its, your easels, your colorful postcards everywhere. You're going to dream for 8 hours, right? You're going to come up with great concepts. And then your executive director and your paid staff are going to go back and make a beautiful document of it. But then what? What happens to it? It gets filed away or it becomes a paperweight, because those volunteers that dreamed with you, they're not going to be the one doing the day-to-day work. So let's think about it differently. Let's rip up the strategic plan and let's do a case for support, right? So my case for support covers a letter from your executive director. It covers United Way's core competencies that we offer here locally in Rowan County. It also covers special events, because there's a lot of people, and even at a conference with our North Carolina United Ways last week, someone said it, and I think we all can resonate. Oh yeah, I know United Way. I know that brand. Some might even say you're a little connected with the NFL. The next question, do you know what we do? You do good work. I know that. So again, another thing, be the best storyteller you can be. And that case for support is your tangible document to be that storyteller. It shares our stories. We've got testimonials in here from not just clients that we serve, but our executive directors as well, because they're one of our main constituents as well. As how do we support the leadership of our local nonprofits? And then it goes and breaks down into our 3 funding initiatives. So that 3-part ask that Jimmy just alluded to. And the 3-part ask is for number 1, and first and foremost, that's your special capital event. And for us, it is the hub, the Center for Collaboration. It's a huge need in our community, and we are thrilled to be able to unveil this in our sweet Rowan County community. Second place, the endowment. We do not have a healthy endowment, and it's something that we are really, really working to build on. We've never embarked in legacy giving or bequests, or even considering having someone donate land and art to us. All these things are valuable resources to generating those diverse streams of revenue that's unrestricted. It's not a grant, it's a gift, and you can do whatever you need to with unrestricted dollars. And then of course the last part for us is the deficit. We want to fill the void in the deficit of workplace giving. So how do we reach out to those individuals in our community that we don't know yet, that have net assets of $2 million or more? Well, NANOE has the platforms and the skills to get you there and get you connected to the people. So you're not just leaning on your already current Toquevilles, you're actually getting engaged and meeting new potential Toquevilles. So moving forward, this is the best tool. Do not get a strategic plan. Use this. It is a 3-year capital campaign plan. This is our strategic plan, and it makes sense for not just us as an organization, but for our donors, right? Because our donors are our number 1 client. That is such a weird way to think about things, right? Because they're not our number 1 client. The hungry folks, the homeless folks, they're our number 1 client, and they are. But NANOE's going to make you think about this differently. And I promise folks, they have not paid me once to say any of this stuff. This is coming from learned experiences. Getting Audrey and I and our board to think about our donors as an equal level client as our constituents has been life-changing for this organization. We take them out to eat. We take them out for coffee. We meet them wherever they want to go. We send them baskets of goodies. Thank you for your additional gift this year. You rock. And then we tell them what their dollars are doing at work, because they're giving the money. They have every right to know where their dollars are working. So remember, when they tell you, it feels weird, and you're going to push back on Jimmy. I know, I was there. It feels weird, but it works. and it changes the way your nonprofit works. So there's a very important piece of this process, and that is your non-fundraising awareness event. At this event, we had roughly 200 people in the room, and it wasn't just quantity, it was quality. And what we did to entice people with this case for support, another great tool, is on the back of it, we had people lend us their name. But what we didn't do is we did not ask for money. Audrey, our philanthropy director, had someone say, I'm bringing a check. She said, no, ma'am, you're not. I have made a commitment to everybody that's attending this event. We are not making an ask for money. This is simply about educating the community about what we like to call, this is no longer your grandfather's United Way, right? Because those philosophies are not applicable to today's times. So we've got to catch up with today's times, all of us under the United Way network. And so we had this Ask event. We had many different speakers come on board. We did have one of our partner funded agencies come and present. And it was really neat because what we did is this partner agency, they have a hydroponics program that our United Way invested $175,000 into. We were the sole investor to this. This program with our community impact model in 2 years is now 100% sustainable, no longer needs our dollars for that program. And because it's so sustainable and it's generating revenue, they're able to use those dollars to support other programs in their under their organization umbrella. These are the types of things that we love to invest in, but here's the sweet spot. So with their hydroponics garden, we actually bought some of their lettuce and microgreens, and the chef that we had to cook the meal used those microgreens and lettuce. And so the gentleman that gave the testimony, who was the hydroponics gardener, sealed it with a kiss at the end and said, just so you know, everyone, this meal that you have eaten today came directly from our hydroponics. And so it's just an extra touch to get people intrigued. But the most important part was that it got us out there. It helped us share our message, because that's number one as we continue to evolve with the changing times. We are not the old United Way of a cabinet raising money for a short period of time, and we can give 17 agencies $2,500 to $5,000. We're very, very different from that now. And it's a good thing. Change is hard, but it's a good thing, and we should all embrace it. I think COVID helped us a lot with that too. And so thereafter that, what Audrey and I did, we spent time with those folks that attended this meeting. And we took the case for support for them. And we didn't always ask for money. Again, United Way, not doing what we're supposed to be doing. We put this case for support in front of them, shared our dreams and our visions, and we heard them. We listened to our donors' inputs, and we took it in, and we adjusted the case for support based on some of their inputs, actually, because it's their community. And it's not our right to come in and say, this is what we're going to do for you. It must be supported by actual needs and voices of those that contribute to making beautiful things happen here. So we spent 6 months doing that, connecting with people. And I'm telling you, if you don't do anything from this entire process, do the non-fundraising awareness event. It opens so many doors for us. People that were only given $1,000 to our annual campaign each year. First meeting we had as a follow-up from that awareness event, we got a pledge of $25,000 to $50,000. The gentleman said, I got to go check with my wife. It was just remarkable. And we kept having conversations and kept having conversations. And so then we moved forward to the actual fundraising Ask event that's a part of this process. And it was a beautiful evening together. I'm sure Lewis and Jimmy can share you pictures or other things from that event, other tips and tools that we had. I will make sure I share my contact in the chat screen here so you guys can reach out to me directly. But But my United Way team in this community raised $20,000 to 20. I've got my philanthropy director in here like, girl, you know I didn't raise $20,000. I stand corrected. Let me get it right. It was $200,000. You see why that was really important to her? $200,000 in 12 minutes. Unrestricted dollars. So what we did was we made a commitment that 100,000 would go towards the hub and the other 100,000 would go towards supporting programmatic expenses. And we're going to we're taking the Ask Event model and we're making that our United Way annual campaign kickoff every year. So we've been able to, and I know this does get a little bit tricky, and I'll talk about this real quick. And I think this is why Jimmy and Lewis are trying to combat this, because we all run an annual campaign. It may run year long, it may run in a short period of time, but we have an annual campaign. So how do we do 2 campaigns and make sure that we differentiate the 2 enough where the community understands what you're doing, what you're raising funds for, and not to take away from your annual campaign contributions? This is a gift over and beyond. Right? So that's important to articulate to your board, to your donors, and to those folks that will sit on your campaign cabinets. Lastly,
I have a question really quick.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's Brittany or Angela. Who am I talking to?
It's Brittany. Sorry,
hey, Brittany.
I've been in my car, so my ears
Hey.
on. So that's what I was wondering. In listening to the non-ask event, my thought was kind of, we have an annual kickoff every year where we tell people what we're doing. So it was nice to hear you say that. So this is not the same thing, or it's a non-ask event, but it seems to have slightly different criteria for you, and you're just replacing that.
So correct. So each year with our annual campaign, we have roughly 125 people come together. They're the people that are in our company campaigns. They're on the campaign cab. This is our annual campaign I'm referencing. People that have been connected with the campaign for many, many years. Local officials, you name it, they show up. And that's just really to get people energized and excited about the campaign. We're not even reporting yet at that point. This is just a genuine kickoff. But by changing the way we do things and incorporating the Ask event as our campaign kickoff, because it really had a huge impact on our attendees there, we're going to go ahead and start raising money at our kickoff, which is so revolutionary to what we've ever done. And again, you'll keep blending in the work that you do throughout your annual campaign. And you'll have to figure it out. And I'm happy to talk to you about your community's needs and see if there's a clever way to figure this out. And it's different from community to community. So you may, in your community, really need like an adult daycare center, for example. That's been identified as one of your top needs in your community. So make that your capital campaign. Make that your big push, right? Work with the right people to do that. But then your annual campaign is never going to stop supporting your funded partners. That is a core competency of what we do here, and we're not going to step away from it. Look at this way, it enhances your work. It gets us thinking creatively and outside of the box. So a lot of these best practices that you will learn again today and dive deep into with NANOE, you are absolutely 100% to able use it all to your organization, which we've chosen to go in full Monty, right? We are doing the whole program. Or you can choose to take bits and pieces of it as it fits your particular United Way. And what does that look like? And how do we successfully run essentially 2 campaigns? It can happen, trust me. I was confused for months, but then Lewis was so great. He works with you. Jimmy's team will work with you, and they will help you get to where you understand it, you believe it, and then you can go out there and just rock it out and get people behind you and behind your energy. So
thank you.
Of course, I thought I saw one other hand raised. So I'm gonna pause for a second.
I think it was Angela.
Hi, Angela.
Hi, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I have usually about 10 questions per one topic, so I'm going to narrow that down to just a few. First question is, what level of success did you see when you utilized this third part, the donor scope component of your building of your prospects? Second is, you have a population of about 142,000. Is that what you said?
Correct. Yes, roughly.
And you raised 200,000 at your Ask event.
Correct.
And you use the Ask event for your campaign kickoff.
Not this time.
Okay.
Last year when we did this, we still ran our annual campaign as we normally do, where we have a kickoff finale and 4 report meetings throughout the campaign. Our campaign, just so you all know, runs mid-September to mid-November. We don't do it year round. And so after we made it through the Ask event, because obviously our annual campaign had already kicked off in September. So once we did our Ask event in October, Audrey and I sat down and we were like, you know what? That got people really excited. And that's what we want to do at our kickoff. Let's just blend the two. And so we're going to do the Ask event every single year. There are 2 ways that that Lewis had recommended our United way to do it, was to get a keynote speaker, or we give out awards. And we selected to go down the path of giving out awards. I was not, if we could have had somebody maybe from the United Way Network come in and speak, but our community, we know ourselves. And so what I told Lewis was, I want our partners to be the ones that are telling the story. And we had a beautiful ceremony where we had about 8 individuals of impact. They were direct recipients from our funded partners. And they had these big signs on the front of it, because our campaign theme is the heartbeat of our community. And you'll even see that great little, this is Rowan County. And you've got the heartbeat, because we're the lifeline to this community. And so we had individuals there, and they would flip their sign around, and you would see signs that say, I am now employed, or I'm a better parent, or I have escaped my abuser, things of that nature that were really impactful. And then we had a really high influential person in our community give the main presentation. And that's actually where I stole "This is not your grandfather's United Way anymore" from. And he said that. I mean, we met with him, we pitched him, we said, we need you to make sure folks understand. These are 2 different initiatives. And he did so great. He said, I've already sent in my annual United Way contribution. That check's done, signed, delivered. And this tonight is the legacy that we are trying to build for Rowan County United Way. You've got great leadership, it's got a great vision. We're all behind it. Now we're asking you guys to get energized and get behind it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
so, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you had a first question. I'm not quite sure I addressed it though.
Yeah, as I look at, I think it's the build component, which starts at chapter 6, which is the prospecting, like 3 lists that you build. The third opportunity is that donor scope, where you pull that. I was wondering what level of success you had with that, if you use that.
We did use it. Oh, and let me tell you how interesting it is to learn who the big millionaires are in this community. We thought we knew all the right people. We did not. So when we went to send out the mailing for the non-fundraising awareness event, we used that database for that mailing. Actually, we honed in, of course, on our top donors here that we already had, but the whole point of this process is to grow it. So we then utilized that system to, how many invitations did we send out in total? Roughly 300 invitations went out. And so we had a hodgepodge of folks that ended up showing up at this meeting, at this event, because we had our Toquevilles were there, we had our current donors there, And then we had a whole bunch of new folks that we had yet to be exposed to, and now knew the great works of United Way. And even if they had a previous experience or perception of United Way, we were able to hone in. We don't look like that anymore. We look like this, and we are excited. And this is our impact, and this is where we're going. And we actually did a soft unveil of the hub at the non-fundraising ask event. So it was an evolution type process for us.
Mhm, mhm.
Does that help?
It does help. Thank you.
Very good.
Just one more question, and I'll let
No, you're great.
as you look back, you're at the top of the pyramid, right? You've gone through the different phases and cycles and events. I'm curious to know, on a data basis, what level of growth have you seen with your fans? And what percentage of growth or new donors have you brought into the landscape there? In numbers, percentage, dollars, whatever you want to give. I'm just looking for perspective.
Sure. So again, we've already generated roughly $255,000. We just had another smaller foundation gift come in. And we have several pledges. And the thing is, for us, we've been fundraising on a concept. And so now that we've landed a building, our community is a really tried and true bricks and mortar kind of community, and they can get behind building stuff. So for a while now, when we were navigating the phase of where's that building, where's the right location, which we actually put a task force together, which was one of the biggest benefits. And because Audrey and I have never purchased or built a commercial space, that is not our wherewithal, but we put our United Way hats on and we said, we're going to bring all the right people to the table, because that's what we do as United Way. So we got the top general contractor for commercial buildings on our task force. We have one of the most well-respected architects on our task force. We have a realtor on our task force, one of the top realtors in our community. We have a developer who has bought several downtown spaces in Salisbury. He is on our task force, as well as our main technology group here. So, because we want the best, right? We have one shot to fundraise for this hub, and we can't go back to our donors in 10 years and say, oh, we didn't do it right.
Yeah, and so Angela, I should interject that Jenny and Audrey have just passed chapter 9 and are entering chapter 10. They just finalized the hub location 2 weeks ago, and they're building their campaign cabinet now. So their metrics for this whole effort are not complete yet.
That is a good point. And I really do want to hone in on that. It is difficult to fundraise on a concept, but we're about to be at the place where we have architectural renderings. Our marketing communication manager is working on naming rights to the facility right now, so people can get excited about gift levels. And, you give me the building for free, your name's going on that building. Or if it takes me 3 millionaires to get the building, your names are going to be on that building. So we're really diving deep into this. And as Lewis spoke to, we will have more data and more metrics. But what I can say that's more of a qualitative impact is that door opening and people thinking about us differently. So one of the things that we asked Lewis to support us with were free, a couple nonprofit courses that we paid for, but we made them free to our local nonprofits. And we did a survey on what do you want to hear about? And Lewis, and his wealth of knowledge and current best practices and how to manage a nonprofit, came in each quarter and facilitated these free nonprofit courses on donor portfolios, board development, touched in on a little bit of this process. The big outcome for that was I had one nonprofit leader that participated in all of those workshops look at us and say, thank you, Jenny, for bringing NANOE to our community. I know this was an investment originally for Rowan County United Way, but it has rippled out into the rest of our community. And she said so much that our organization would not have made budget had we not had access to these resources. So bringing NANOE to your community as a United Way, look at it as just another tool that you can provide resources. You're going to help yourselves as organizations. You're going to come up with new ways to generate revenue. Most importantly, that endowment, that third part ask, that's your longevity. That's your sustainability. And so these are all really important concepts. So we have thoroughly enjoyed this. Again, the ripple effect for us, especially as the executive director here, was the biggest thing for me. The fact that our nonprofits were getting support from their local United Way in ways that we'd never done in previous years.
Jimmy,
I have spoken way too long, Lewis. I'm
no,
sorry.
this has been perfect. So Jimmy, I can meet you at the golf course in about an hour, and we can just let Jenny take the rest of the day. I mean, you know, I think we're good, Jimmy.
Jenny, I just wanted to highlight one thing that you said. Friends, there is a question on the CDE exam, and it goes like this. As we build relationships, we maximize giving from a donor prospect by, when appropriate and with their permission, we publicly acknowledge their gift and leverage it to raise others. B, we consistently and genuinely express gratitudes. How many times do we thank a person for a major gift? 7 times. C, we meaningfully involve the donor in our program. D, all of the above. And D is not the answer. And the wonderful thing about putting together that steering committee for the hub, if you want money, ask for advice. If you want advice, ask for money. And as Lewis said, Major Gifts Ramp Up just gives you excuse after excuse after excuse to be in intentional conversations and meaningfully involve people on the inside, which goes back to how you started, Jenny, about donors are also our customer. So lovely, Jenny. And maybe I could clear up for both Jenny and Lewis. Not only did Jenny deploy Major Gifts Ramp Up, and she's raised more money than she has before for a separate campaign. Now she's about to raise the big dollars because she's done everything right. On another track, though, I don't know if you quite got it. She also offered Lewis Fawcett to all of her partner agencies for quarterly meetings where Lewis tackled topics that were important to them. And that's just something that we're privileged to do. So thanks for letting me kind of define that for you, Jenny Lee.
So Jenny, do you have a few more minutes for any questions other people may have for you?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I have another question. What was your hardest part of implementing this? Was it your team, your board, your communities?
So the community accepted it very well. One thing we did not say, we do not refer to Lewis as a consultant. Because for United Ways, we're supposed to be the best at fundraising, right? That was how we were since how we've been since our inception, the One United Fund. Lewis is a friend of United Way, but to sell my board on it, I had so many folks that were ready to just jump down this path because our EDC just got done doing something very similar, and they reaped the benefit of it. And our whole community did. And so we have a lot of forward thinkers on our board, which I'm really grateful for. But what was most important too is invest in your executive director, invest in your philanthropy director, because now what I can confidently do, and I could do this prior, but now I'm up to date on best practices. I can sit down with nonprofits and they look at me and they say, Jenny, we want to be the best nonprofit. We want to have the business aspect right, and we want to make sure we're generating revenue the healthiest way we can, and we want to have a huge impact. Those are your 3 areas that you've got to focus in: organizational development, revenue, and impact. It has given me the ability to go to these nonprofits and offer up best practices that are current, that are not dated. And so I think the hardest part for us was, again, that navigation of, well, we hold an annual meeting, our annual campaign. How do we intermingle? So all I can say is trust the process, because it all came out and it makes sense. And here's the thing, these opportunities, these events, this process, we're not going to leave it behind. Even when Lewis is playing golf and not hanging out with Jenny and Audrey, we will not leave this behind. We will employ these best practices, this model, forever and ever and ever. It may look different from one year to the next, but you know, the foundation of it all really it allowed us to dream. But not only could we dream, we knew the dream was tangible, achievable, even measurable in a couple of years. And so it is difficult to think about doing this differently. For some of my staff, change is really hard. So you have to work with everybody and meet everybody where they're at.
Mr. Murphy, I think you may have, we're going to turn on your mic.
I was going to ask on your non-fundraising event, what was the percentage of the people you got from DonorScape to show up to that event? Percentage wise, give a guesstimate.
We had Toqueville.
But you said that you had the Toqueville people there, you had staff, you had currently donors there too as well. So I just was curious how the new people, percentage wise.
Percentage wise, we were looking at 25 to 30%.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what I want to know. Thank you.
And to continue going on that a little bit more, if you continue moving through the process, so when you create your cabinet, some of the cabinet members that we have are like, I'm busy, I can't attend these meetings, right? Okay, but you can still help. Number one, loan me your name. You're trusted in this community, you're valued, and you are a networking bee. Can you connect us? And here's a few prospects that we think that you could help us with. Well, next thing you know, one of our cabinet members for Major Gifts Ramp Up emailed Audrey yesterday and said, I was out selling you guys to such and such, and he laughed at me. And I was like, why did he laugh at her? And he said, oh, don't worry, United Way's already got me. We didn't ask her to go to that gentleman. She's just excited and energized about what we're doing. And that's the thing about treating your donors as your number one client. If they're excited and they're out they are talking about you, and you want the talk to be good. We know that they're talking about you, but we want to make sure that what they're saying is, number one, they trust Jenny and Audrey to lead this effort. And Lewis, your team is so great at making sure that you remind folks of that. We got to have that trust with your leadership, but then the energy behind it, because if they're talking good, they're buzzing, the dollars are going to come in.
Thank you.
Of course. And I, again, am going to put my contact in the chat box here. Obviously, Lewis and Jimmy know how to contact me. So if you think of questions or you want to schedule a 30-minute chat with me, we actually, one of the requests of our board members was to get some references on Jimmy and Lewis. What are they doing? Were they successful? And they were astounding. We talked with other United Ways across the nation, and they were great. And I'm here to help you guys as much as I can, just like the folks did for us.
For me, Jenny, I do look forward to that time when you decide to help other nonprofits and other United Ways with their Major Gifts Ramp Up campaign. That's my heart for everybody on this call. And evidently, you're well on your way, and I thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Really appreciate you both.
Thank you, Jenny, and I'll save you the trouble. I'll go ahead and put your contact information if that's okay. And I know you've got to run to the next meeting. You've been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. And again, do not hesitate to contact Audrey or myself. Bye, Jimmy. Bye, Lewis.
All right, take care. Thank you.